reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter on the MMO Reporter Network, brought to you by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapons with Doghouse Systems. Audible, find your next great read at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter, and by GoDaddy. Put your website to work while you play.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of MMO Reporter. This is episode 188. I'm Chris, and as always, I'm joined by the ever so wonderful, the ever so wasn't here for a few weeks, the super cool Layanor. Hello, Layanor.
Hello, minions. And for some reason, there's a dog chewing on my foot. Ow.
That
Ow.
probably happens if you have a dog.
Ah.
Sounds like a bad Family Guy joke. And from just up the road, the pontificator on high, Mr. at MMO Bill. Hi, Bill.
Good evening, everyone. Not
Why
minions.
does he get all the big words in his intro?
Because he'll understand them.
Oh, I get it. Totally understand.
Yeah. So anyways, hi guys. Welcome back to the first full show post-PAX. And I'm still tired. Well, this is the first full show post-PAX. Last week was our PAX recap, so...
I actually had the discussion with another friend today. There's a serious depression that rolls in post-PAX. Like,
yep.
I love PAX. Like I've said it a million times, I recommend if you ever get the opportunity and you're even just a little bit of a gamer, it's a magical experience. It's like Disneyland for gamers.
Yep.
But there is a very serious letdown every year when I come back because I know that, you know what, I'm 12 months from going again.
Well, and you know what it is?
Unless I go to PAX South.
That's true. For me, it's just the sheer amount of work and being tired. Although, Layanor, your work this year, I mean, made such a difference. So thanks for that. Because for those of you who don't know, in the past years, I have edited the PAX Daily every night before I go to bed. And that takes a while. So I would go to bed at like 2 or 3 and then get up at 7 or 6 or whatever to get up and get going for the day. And this year, thanks to Layanor's hard work and some halfway decent hotel internet, I mean, it was horrible, but it wasn't horrid. Like, it was not the worst in the world. Layanor was able to get up in the night, edit that together, and have it ready for everybody's breakfast. So thanks, Layanor.
Well, thank you. That was actually a lot of fun for me to do.
Oh, good. So now that we're done thanking each other, you're an honorary Canadian for that, by the way. You know, it's a lot of work to get all that stuff together and to do PAX and to run around and all that sort of stuff and then come back. And Layanor and Celeste did the most of the majority of the editing, but I did a few videos at the end there. And I just feel like wow, that was just a lot of stuff. We put out like nearly 30 videos this year. I think it was right around 30. When we've got a couple that are still sitting on footage that we were asked not to use. Bill. Your fault for not fighting for it enough. Come on.
I'm sorry. I'm just not vicious enough.
No.
I should have made a scene in the middle of that panel.
You should have. Yeah, a couple of panels asked us not to use footage, which means we couldn't put those videos out, but that's okay. Just really excited about how everything went. I hope that you all go check out all our videos. I mean, Layanor and Celeste put a lot of work in getting those up, and I've just been going through some of the panels that I didn't get to see, and I know the next one on my list is the digitizing the tabletop one. I edited it, but I didn't watch the whole thing through yet. And so that's next on my list is I'm going to go sit down and take a look at that. And because we're starting, as a group, we're starting to get back into tabletop stuff. We talked about that and stuff. So really, really excited about watching that. So go find some videos. Let us know which ones are your favorites because, you know, it helps us focus when we go back to PAX next year. It helps us focus on what we do cover and stuff because we do have a limited amount of time. And I think...
it's painfully obvious every single year. It seems like, oh wow, 4 days, 96 hours, I'm gonna get so much done. And then at the 94th hour, oh, there's like 3/4 of everything I wanted to do that didn't happen.
Yeah, and I still think somebody could make a very good living being a PAX consultant, not just a general, just for PAX only, and consulting with companies on what makes PAX different and how they need to approach it different than they would any other show, because it is a fan show. It is not an industry show. It's not E3.
See,
right?
I was thinking, when you first said PAX consultant, I'm thinking actually there's somebody who could do like schedule building and planning for people who haven't been to PAX yet. Like I think these are services that could actually be super valuable for a first-time person to actually, if they were willing to put their faith into someone to do this for them. That to maximize your time at PAX and kind of find the little nuggets and nooks that you wouldn't normally see and everything like that, because it's there's just tons to see, and you'll miss out on most of it if you just wing it.
Highly recommend the guidebook app. That is fantastic. And it does. You can put in your schedule in there, and it will give you reminders and all that sort of stuff. But yeah. Anyways, enough talking about PAX, because I think Layanor's quietly sobbing in the corner as we talk about it more and more. And I just it's annoying, so I don't want to have that happen anymore. Anyways,
That's
not
fine.
that I'm not worried about your feelings, Layanor, or anything like that. That's just not. I mean, that I'm a heartless bastard. So
As long as you pay for the ticket for all the other ones, that's fine.
yeah,
and he cries, his microphone peaks, and it's really hard to deal with.
yeah. You worry about the travel, Layanor. I'll worry about the media pass. How's that? Huh? Ha ha. Yeah. Anyways, so let's get into gaming before we talk more about PAX and start to daydream about our adventures. Layanor, why don't you start talking about what you've been doing in the last little while, because you've been off. You took a couple weeks off on holidays. You just started back up this week. What have you been doing?
Yeah, I took a couple weeks off, and like right after PAX, and really didn't do too much gaming, mainly because I got hired by a small company that needed a media expert, and unfortunately, I don't know how to do all of that.
Oh,
so I had to Google.
Yep, I can do that. Sure, I can do that job. Google help me. That's awesome.
So I watched a lot of seminars and listened to a lot of shows, and I pretty much get the gist of it. So I pretty much knew what I needed to do. It's just some guidance.
That's awesome.
Is what I needed, and I got the job. So looking forward to that, and that's basically because that was the reason why I didn't really play very many games. But I did get into the Secret World, pretty much my primary game the last couple of weeks, and just kept going into the PvP arena and just getting a bunch of points to just keep getting my PvP gear. And I was doing that while I was listening to seminars and stuff.
That's cool. So I'm sorry, going back to that, like, are you doing like social media work? Like, is that what you mean by media expert, or media as in video and audio?
The video and audio might be coming in a little bit later on. What I'm doing right now is I'm taking their Twitter, Facebook, stuff like that, and the things that they have not signed up for yet, linking them all together, and then coming up with daily content to put out on all of these media feeds.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
To have it, always doing something every day.
That's really cool.
So that's the goal that I have to get it to.
Hey, by the way, Hootsuite is your friend. Just when we're not getting paid by Hootsuite at all. I pay them actually a subscription fee, but that's what I use for all my social media stuff. And anybody out there who does more than sort of one account or does anything that's more businessy with their social media, or even just sort of wants to get the word out, it is fantastic. I will show you after the show how the awesomeness that is Hootsuite.
Okay, cool.
Anyways, sorry, back to gaming.
Those 3-syllable words we were talking about will probably help you out too.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if we're going to go that far.
But I stumped you.
Yeah, I will be going into the audio and video stuff a little bit later on. They do have product and stuff that I can put out there, and thanks to doing stuff for you guys all the time, I know how to do that. So I can do that stuff now too. So that's going to be a little bit later.
So those royalty checks are coming next week?
What's that?
Repeat yourself, Bill. Come
what do
on.
I got to do?
Oh, okay. I thought I was assuming the royalties were coming, or finder's fees or something like that. When are you going to start paying us, Layanor? Jeez.
You got to
After
talk
all
to
this
Harry.
time.
Okay, so
Back on track.
Back on track. I did get to play a little bit of Lotro. I went into the PvP area. I've been trying to get 50% there, but I just have not had the time. And I'm really, really close to getting 50% in my rank. The last time I was on the show, I talked about the Android game Duet, where it was the 2 paintballs that spin
Yes.
around things. I beat that thing.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
I was very, very happy. It got crazy. Like, all the shapes and stuff started disappearing and reappearing. And you're still trying to, make your way around those shapes and stuff. It's a pain.
Oh, that looked so hard.
Yeah, that wasn't nothing.
Wow.
And that's pretty much what I did, other than working on all the cool PAX videos that we had.
Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of them.
Yes.
It was busy work. Not busy work, but it was busy working.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, it sounds like you were very, very busy in many different ways. Bill, what about you? What about your gaming time? Have you been busy in game?
Well, busy-ish, yeah. Sonny and I are starting to get into Wildstar a little bit. It's a slow trickle and everything. And we always have fun when we sit down and play, but it's a matter of actually sitting down and playing.
Yeah.
And it's getting back to the same thing that I was concerned about. I mean, getting back to the whole subscription model, I feel stressed to play Wildstar. Like, I'm not maximizing my return if I'm not touching base in Wildstar from time to time. And it's not, I don't like the feeling as much as when I was loosey-goosey and able to play anything I want. I mean, again, I like Wildstar. It's decent enough, but yeah, it's stressful. Anyway, still liking it. So Wildstar, playing Guild Wars 2. I've been mainly messing around on alts. I've been slowly trying to work towards crafting my Ascended Blades backpack that came from the which event was it that gave out the Blades back, like the dragon wings?
I have
Scarlet.
that. Yeah.
It was one of the Scarlet events, but anyway, I'm so close to getting the Ascended version. I'm just like 20 gold short or 25 gold short or something like that for a few more components.
Sounded like in the pre-show you were very, very not frustrated and perfectly happy, and I'm being incredibly sarcastic.
Well, I thought I was there. Like, I thought I'd got all the pieces that I needed, but I was missing one component of a component that I'd forgotten about, and then I looked up the price for it, and it was going to cost me like 30 gold or something like that, or 35 gold. And that's more than I have. I'm not a good golder in Guild Wars 2, but
not a good golder.
We'll get there. Yeah.
Are we talking holographic dragon wings?
Yeah.
We're talking the metallic blade.
Okay. Okay.
So the holographic
event
ones
called Dragon Bash.
No, that I have the ones from Dragon Bash. I have the holographic ones. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they've got a few. They've got the kind of ripped leathery ones that were from the Tecatl event. They've got the holographic ones from Dragon Bash, and then I'm pretty sure it's the Scarlet event that did the or one of the Scarlet events, because she had like 3 or 4 events in a row there, and from one of those events there was the blade wings that you have to graduate like 6 times before they reach their final form. Poke back piece. Anyway, so that's been fun. Sonny and I actually played Magicka again as well. We picked that back up. Very tricky to pick back up again, but so fun. Every game on the planet needs to borrow and steal from Magicka's magic system and combat system. It's just so awesome. I can't remember if I must have given you the nitty gritty before, but just a quick reminder.
Yeah.
Basically, you're given 8 elements bound to different keys on the keyboard, and you mash them together and come up with just spells that sort of happen.
And that's Magicka 2 was at PAX, right?
Yes, Magicka 2 was at PAX, which the line was around the room, and every day I went up to where the Magicka booth was set up.
Yeah.
The line was longer than I could wait in. Every single time I looked at it, and the time estimate was like half an hour longer than I had before I had to move on to the next thing. So I was sad to miss that, but I'm looking forward to playing Magicka 2 when it happens. I also played Shadowrun Returns as well for the first time. It's been sitting in my Steam library for ages, and I finally installed it and fired it up. And what a cool game! It's cheesy. It's. I mean, the graphics are. I mean, it's not a graphics game or anything like that, but that kind of film noir, dialogue-y, just that feel to it is so good. I like it. So I approve of Shadowrun Returns, and that's been pretty much my week. How about you, Chris? What's new and exciting in your post-PAX world?
Selene and I have been getting ready for the Nightmare Tide expansion in Rift, because we're going to jump back in and try that out. So we've actually been playing some Rift together as sort of our biggest time sink for this week. We decided, because during Storm Legion, I switched my main over to my rogue instead of my warrior. And it never clicked with the two of us like it did with my warrior. It just never quite felt right. So I'm going to switch back to my warrior, which means I just have to level him up to 60 so I can get into the expansion right away. So we've been playing that, which has been tons of fun, going through Storm Legion again and leveling. And wow, the experience comes fast when you've got patron status and your bonus experience files and blah, blah, blah. And, it goes crazy. So that's going really well. Played some Wildstar as well, leveling my medic up and having some fun with that. That's just so much fun. And it's so apparent how really, to me, and this is a personal statement, not a general statement, but to me, the combat system in Wildstar is just so fantastic. When I go back into Rift, and I'm loving it, and I'm loving the world and all that sort of stuff, it's fun, but Wildstar just does it better. And I do the same thing when I played in a couple weeks ago with Guild Wars 2. I went back on my Guardian, and it's just, the combat system just clicks better in Wildstar for me. I'm still having tons of fun, though, and I love the world. I can't wait till... And we've all played MMOs enough that we get to that point where the world feels familiar enough, and you've played enough characters through that you just kind of know where everything is, and not in that, I'm just grinding through everything way, but just in that, I've been in this world so much sort of way, in that really cool way. I really like that feeling. And so I'm starting to get there with Wildstar, and that's really, really cool. Played some Diablo 3 as well. Got up to level 70 and started working on Paragon level, I think Paragon level 9 or something like that. And I did start, because the new season started. And although I will not be the first person to 70, because that happened with two... So, okay, Bill, you've played Diablo 3, and I'm sure lots of our players have as well. Somebody got a new character in season mode up to 70. I think it was 3 hours. From 0 to 70 in 3 hours. No, it's documented. It happened. Do you know how they did it? Adventures. You can get right into Adventures in season mode, because you've unlocked it, right? And so if you make a season character, you can get right into Adventures. They did it with a group and just ground out the right content that gave them the best XP. And
so they had a group of people towing him along, I assume.
Yeah. So, but yeah, season mode is interesting because you start out with, because your gold is sort of account wide. You start out with no gear, no gold, no access to anything on your other characters, which usually you have your shared chest that you can move gear around. You don't have any of that.
Yeah.
So you start sort of scratch, and the idea is to get up. But you do, if you do make it to 70, you get some special gear and stuff like that. So I'm trying it out. I'm trying a Demon Hunter, which I've never tried the range classes before. But my Crusader is still where my heart is. That class just clicks with me so good. I'm looking forward. I think you and I are going to play tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Wednesday. Yeah, we're going to play for a few hours and try some adventures. So maybe get you up to 70. That would be fun.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't. I couldn't. I read a couple of stories about that 3-hour leveling experience, and that was just crazy. And then, last but not least, Selene and I watched Ender's Game. And if any of you've watched that movie, there's a few fun space battles in that, and that made me jump right into Star Trek Online because, yeah. I still love the space combat in Star Trek Online. I know not everyone does, and I still think the ground combat sucks. And I know most people agree with me on that on that one. It's better than it used to be, but it still sucks. But just going up in space and fighting, and I do miss when I had, for a while there, I had, when I was doing freelance stuff for PC Gamer, I had access to the test server and an account with like every ship, so I could have the Galaxy class starship and, you know, the detachable saucer and stuff like that. I miss all that, and I know that I'm never going to have the time to grind out to get up to those levels and get that, so it makes me sad.
Yeah, I feel that way about a lot of games these days. Like I'm looking at my at the list of MMOs I've got installed. I've got a bar with literally a dozen MMOs sitting there, and they're all games that I'm at least marginally interested in playing in. And every once in a while, I look at them and realize I am never going to get even a quarter as far as I want in all of these games.
And
I'm probably not going to get as quarter as far as I want in a quarter of these games.
Isn't it? I mean, there's. I know we've talked about this before, but I have pined a few times about the idea of back when it was, you know, you played WoW with all your friends, or you dabbled with something else and came back to WoW anyway, and everybody was in WoW. That your friends were, like, everybody was
like
there.
Your
right?
touchstone.
Yeah, and you know, it's wonderful that there's so much variety, and I wouldn't go back to that time, but there is a small part of my heart that longs for that when things were just simpler, right?
It was a simpler time.
You played WoW, and that was and not everybody did, and there were little offshoots, but they were little offshoots. If you were an MMO player, you kind of played WoW, or you were quite crazy and played Eve, but you played WoW. So, yeah, I do miss that singular drive of the MMO community where everybody had a common story.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that I miss WoW in particular, but I miss being able to find like 15 or 20 of my friends floating around, like people that I actually knew in real life were bouncing around on various servers in WoW, and you could actually find them now. Now I have to, in order to do that, I have to do that between like 15 different games.
Right, and it's not that I want one game to take over the market like that. It just, part of me misses that. It's like before free-to-play Lotro. I know the game is doing better now because of free-to-play, but I still kind of miss free-to-play Lotro. I kind of do. All right, I think it's time for us to move along to the news. Bill, were you moved by that music?
I was a little bit excited, but I started thinking about the gift of blades and how expensive it is. So, speaking of expensive, there's a new game that kind of launched out just recently. The new AAA MMO. Everybody should be excited about it, except it costs $460.
It most certainly does not cost $460.
It's Warhammer?
It's going to cost me $460. Nope, not Warhammer. Destiny landed on everybody with a thud on September 9th. Maybe not a thud for everybody, but it's officially out there now. And And so far, well, okay. As much as I really want to launch into how they deserve every bad review that they get, and how the lukewarm response suits them perfectly if they're going to be releasing on inferior platforms, but I'm going to hold back on that. I'm going to try to keep it in. I'm going to try to keep it together,
right,
and try to talk about what I've actually seen from Destiny so far, which is mainly reviews I've read and that kind of thing. So for those of you that don't know, Destiny is a shooter with MMO elements that has been released by Bungie, the same company that made Halo for many, many, many years, is now out and available on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. It's, I mean, I pulled the Metacritic scores, and I typically don't look at Metacritic unless I have no other choice. And in this case, I did. So on Metacritic, it's decidedly average. Like, if you look at the history of AAA titles that have come out on consoles and everything like that, that says that basically you could have a steaming pile on your console and it would be 92 would happily play again. Destiny's sitting at a 76 right now, which is not bad, but it's not world beating either. Our own Harry Hall has been giving it a run, and he's I think he's kind of in that same middle of the road boat. He's really enjoying the shooter aspect to it. He's really enjoying the group play of it. But the solo play is very dull. The world feels a little bit small. I think it's really suffering from what every other big time MMO feels like on day one. It's not quite finished. Like, it's not this is not the game. This is like the start of the game. So that's sort of what makes me want to kind of like I said, kind of hold back on criticism, that kind of thing, because like every other MMO, it's not the week one launch that tells the tale. It's the 6-month story of every MMO.
And to totally get off topic here, like I like to do, this is the unfortunate, and you mentioned, sort of in the notes to give it, wait and see 6 months, see how it goes, but MMOs are so fickle nowadays that if they don't take off right away, they rarely will come back and grow their audience. They'll go down to some small little niche and nobody will try it because of the perception, the public perception that is cemented in, unfortunately, that first week of the game.
And I think it comes back to what we were just talking about. The incredible amount of choice that's out there as far as MMOs makes it really hard, I think, for another AAA MMO to actually take hold, because there's never been an A1 MMO that on day one was just incredible. That's within the first week, everybody who played it just knew this was a game they were going to play for years. That never happens.
That
has never happened, and it will never happen.
I felt like that with Rift.
Rift had its own issues at the start. I'm not saying that it wasn't smooth. It was good. It did well, and it deserved accolades. I think we gave it a lot of accolades actually on MMO Reporter.
Yeah.
But I mean, it happened. It's there was the new shininess that lasted for a month or two, and it grabbed a decent core of people for a good amount of time. It certainly wasn't the world beater.
No.
And I think that whole concept, like for example, when World of Warcraft came out, again talking about World of Warcraft, it had like 3 or 4 other games in the market that it had to beat and be better than. And the launch of World of Warcraft, compared to some of the more modern ones we've seen, was a bit of a disaster. But it had a seed that you could kind of see a bit of the long game with it, and people just didn't have a choice but to play the long game with World of Warcraft. So bang, you've got a 15 million subscriber game and the 800-pound gorilla, and I can't see that happening. I don't think it's happened with Destiny here. I mean, I think if anyone was going to take a run at it, Bungie is a good candidate for that with their history with Halo, which is probably, it is one of the most popular games of all time.
But one of the comments that I've seen...
I mean, we're a week in, and I don't want to say it's fallen flat on its face, but it hasn't taken the world by storm.
Yeah, one of the problems that I've seen that takes away from both the immersion and the gameplay aspects is that I was watching, I think, Angry Joe, and he mentioned that the AI is kind of crap. And that, it doesn't do stuff that Halo did. And now this new game doesn't have and it's a different game, it's a bigger game, so you can't always have the resources devoted to the AI, right? And the processing power. I asked Harry a couple questions, though, about the game, too. Because he was describing it, like you said, it was fun, but really you need to have your friends there because playing it solo just isn't fun. It's boring, in fact. So I kind of asked him, did it feel like they were going to make an MMO and then forgot to make an MMO and kind of went solo but kind of screwed up both ends of it? And he said that it feels like they made a great shooter but not a great game. There's no set pieces. Basically, you kill a bunch of little dudes, kill a bunch of little dudes, kill a bunch of little dudes. Oh, big bad dude. And
that's what I've read similar reviews where the shooter mechanics are smooth and inviting. Like it's in the same vein of Call of Duty and Titanfall and for that kind of playability, but that's what it's got is really good mechanics and a skeletal frame for everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
it sounds like that's exactly what they were going for. And to make a point, when Rift came out, like when Chris was talking, Rift was pretty big, like world-wise and stuff. I mean, like it didn't. I seen my friend play that, and he was playing that for quite a while, and he would put it up on his big TV, and we would just sit there and watch him play, and it felt like a really big world. And it just seems like games that are coming out now, they build up all of that hype so they can get a lot of cash in, and then all they need to do basically is put out a base game and add on to it later on, because they know that people are going to pre-order and they're going to get the special packages that are $200 and all of that stuff. They know that they don't need to put out that stuff right away, and that can be content later on to try and keep the people playing.
Yeah. And that's a very, very valid point. And remind me at the end of when we're done talking about Destiny here, there's something that came out about Arcade right before the show that I didn't get to put in, which would be a good point to make now. But it's not like I asked them too along that same vein that I asked Harry, does he think the game has tons of potential? Because they've got like this 10-year plan that's part of what they've talked about, right? 500 million over 10 years is what they're planning on spending on this game. And he said that his theory is that the 10-year plan just got cut short after the response to what it actually accomplishes. Mm-hmm. So, I think one of the things is, I don't know if it was marketed incorrectly or what, but I think the MMO aspect that was discussed is not as strong as perhaps we might have thought that it was.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed, that's where I saw the advertisements actually, or I saw more about Destiny than I saw through all of PAX by watching football on NFL Week 1.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting that they marketed it in the way that they did as this shooter trying to grow into an MMO, where really it's Borderlands 2, and in the way it's cooperative, just that if you can create you can create an open game and you'll have other people run into your area sometimes, but it's never going to be a lot. You're never going to get a group of 20, right? The most you're ever going to do is 6. That's their raids, 6 people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which I don't hate.
No,
actually.
I don't mind the group sizes, but I think that people were just expecting something that was more open world, and it's not. It's open world in the fact that you might have 1 or 2 random people in your map, but you're only ever going to have tops of ever 6 on your team, maybe 6 on the other team if you're doing multiplayer, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought it was going to be more MMO, right? And I was wrong. So I can't wait to play it. My Xbox, the power brick for it broke the day of launch for Destiny. I was going to play it. So that's in for warranty. Thankfully, I got the big warranty when I got the game because it's the same problem I've had twice this year.
Ouch.
Fun. So that's that. So any other thoughts about? I mean, overall, I think technically it was a fairly smooth launch.
Yes.
I
So
think. Oh, go
if
ahead.
they're just trying to elbow their way into the market,
Yeah.
they've carved out a little space for themselves. But if they're going to differentiate, then
Yeah.
that's going to be a trick.
And
like I said, I think it bears looking back at again in 6 months.
Yeah, and I think they have a fairly aggressive content update schedule. I wanted to throw in something here in between the two because ArcAge has just launched, and we're going to talk about it next week once it had actually, today's the launch day and stuff like that. But it looks like there's some controversy right now. First of all, there were huge issues with technical things like founders getting into the general queue in launch instead of the patron queue, and which is kind of a big deal, and because they had long queues, right? And
It's
then
a big deal, yeah. They paid for that, yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing as well was that on launch day here, they've put out a few different packs that you can buy in the store. Everything ranging from $50 to $150 that you can buy. Now, the current, from what I can find, and again, this is maybe 15 minutes research, so please don't think this is the final word. But at first glance, it looks like, I'd say, a small majority, if not a large majority, of the population feels that these new packs are better than the Founders packs that were given out as pre-order stuff. And that's, again, what Bill has talked about, what Layanor, you were talking about before, this whole idea of pre-ordering these big Founders packs seems to not be going so well for ArcAge players. So I'm trying to look up what the original Founders packs had, and I'm just looking for that right now. Yeah, I'm just looking for that. If you guys want to talk about sort of your thoughts on.
Well, technically, there's no real law that packages that you can get after the game launches are supposed to be lesser than the cool packages that you get before the game launches.
No, and the big thing that I think that you hear here is what I can see from the forums is that the founders are the ones who took the risk earlier. So what they were hoping was what they were expecting, and I think what usually happens, I think they've got a little bit of a case based on prior occurrences. Usually when you get the founders pack and you get the expensive like $150 for a founders pack, that gets you that gets you shit that you're not going to get anywhere else, right? And so I think the players if that is the case, they have a right to be somewhat miffed, not outraged maybe, but somewhat miffed, right? So let's see, the $150 one got you alpha access, beta access, 4-day head start, which turned out to be a wash for a lot of people because there were technical issues. Trailblazer title, 90-day patron pass, which is 3 months subscription basically, some chests, some in-game items, a hang glider, some cosmetic stuff, a cloak, a personalized crest, and 10 pet healing potions, and 11,250 credits. Now, the expensive one in-game right now just gets you less credits, but a whole range of stuff in-game that you don't get in this other Founders pack. You still get a glider. You get inventory expansion scrolls, which weren't in the other one. Some pet and mount armor, just basically just more stuff. And so I don't know. What do you guys think about this sort of? Do you think this is? It's obviously something they can legally do, but should they have? Like on launch day?
It's a Yeah, no, but
But
no,
should they not have done the Founders Pack, or should they not be putting out these new ones that are? Apparently, it's double the value in these new packs of what you get in the old ones, but they don't.
Yeah.
The new ones don't have alpha and beta access.
Absolutely, and it is it's poor faith is what it is. It's a really good way to abuse the trust of your players on day friggin' one. You know, I mean, I know I'm kind of sounding like comic book guy saying worst idea ever, but it's a
Worst.
it is it's a really terrible idea. Like if you're going to put the founders packs out there and everything like that, at the very least, if you're in desperate need to be putting out some kind of package like that, extend the founders package into the first week. If you're buying in the first week, then award the same benefits that everybody who pre-ordered did. That's still a little bit of a stretch of the confidence of the community, but it's not as egregious as offering something better after the game has been released. That's just that's rude.
And I mean,
but it gets back to the whole natural point that we've said on the show 100 times when it comes to these pre-order things. Buyer beware, because
Yep.
You can never be 100% sure what the value of what you're getting is until after the fact.
Right. And you could buy these new packs as well. I mean, there's different stuff in these packs. So you could go in and buy this in addition to your Founders Pack if you have a whole bunch of money, right? You could get yourself another 90 days, another glider, which is, a flying mount sort of thing, and all this stuff. So it's not like you can't get this because you got the Founders Pack. It's just like a collection of items. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. It's a collection of items that will help new players to the game. And that's, I think, a quote from from Scapes, one of their moderators. Layanor, any thoughts?
I don't know. Go ahead.
It's a lot of bells and whistles that I probably wouldn't have bought in the first place anyway.
Yeah.
And probably, after the game launches, I probably would not get the newer packs as well, unless it was something specific like opening a new area or even more inventory space and stuff like that. Maybe some of that stuff. I usually am pretty good in keeping things in order, so a lot of that stuff usually doesn't appeal to me in the first place. So I just kind of see it as people arguing over what pack is cooler and why did I buy this one and I should have got that one or blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sort of, again, I haven't looked into it quite enough. I spent, like I said, maybe 15 minutes looking into stuff, but I'd love to hear what our listeners have to say about this. What are if you want to talk about Founders Packs or pre-orders in general, these sort of things. I mean, they tend to call them Founders Packs when it's a free-to-play game and pre-orders when it's a pay-to-play game, right?
Right.
Basically the same thing. So you're paying money for a game before it's out. Usually in the pre-orders you get alpha and beta access to. Anyways, yeah, I think I'd love to hear what our listeners have to say, because I need to do more reading on this one. All right, let's move things along here and talk a little bit about my favorite game, Wildstar. Woo! Now, something that I don't think anyone could have predicted in any way whatsoever is coming. That's right, Megaservers to Wildstar, which, again, like I said, is something that I don't think anyone in their right mind would ever have predicted in any way.
Now, hang on.
Sorry, Bill, yeah?
Let's just back up a tick here.
Yep.
I would invite anyone.
You're agreeing with me, right?
Who's at all curious about what Chris just said, like that it's a really unpredictable, surprising
totally
move.
Unpredictable.
If you were to see this coming, you'd probably need a level of brilliance that's just a cut above what you'd even see in exceptional days, much less every regular days, and maybe just a little bit of insanity, but the cute kind of insanity, the kind that's really endearing. I would invite anyone who's interested in that concept to have a look back at episode 186 and give a listen, and just try to pick out which extremely good-looking and intelligent and
thanks,
magnanimous host actually predicted that the population revamp that Wildstar was going to be coming up with was actually going to be Megaservers, just like Guild Wars 2.
Wait, that was you.
Was I in that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was you, wasn't it, Bill?
It kind of was.
Damn.
I wish I could somehow convey over audio me like breathing on my knuckles and wiping it off of my shirt.
And the reason that they were so quiet for so long was that they have announced now on the Saturday stream following my interview with Stefan Frost at PAX that yes, Megaservers are coming. They were being so quiet because they were testing it. I'm guessing they got a whole bunch of tech from their friends over at Guild Wars 2, also under the NCSoft umbrella, and decided that that was the best thing for the game, which I completely agree. Any game that launches without Megaservers now, I think is doing it wrong.
Well, let me say this about that. Megaservers, I think, for me anyway, Megaservers were a big boon to Guild Wars 2 because there was tons of content that just was completely underutilized because you couldn't get a group. There was never anyone else around to do it. Even something that took like just 3 or 4 people to do, you could sit there and wait forever for someone on your server to appear and help you out with it and that kind of thing. So as a result, like dungeons would get locked and they'd stay locked for a while. Event chains with really good rewards at the end would just never happen because nobody wanted to start the chain and that kind of thing. That said, Guild Wars 2 is, I think, a little bit more focused on those kind of public events that require 10 people to just suddenly appear somewhere and start playing together and then disperse quickly when the event is over. I think Wildstar will benefit from, I mean, every MMO benefits when you've got more people, as long as they're not completely crowded into a single space. But ultimately, the principle, I think, stands that every MMO is a little bit better with other people. They're built that way.
Right, but what MMO would not benefit from Megaservers? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
Oh, World of Warcraft would be the very first one.
Why?
Like World of Warcraft, the World of Warcraft gets its value from either solo leveling, doing quests and that kind of thing. I can't remember anything about the World of Warcraft questing system that was better with 2 people compared to 1. When it was 2 people, like the way their quests typically worked is you just meant that you had to find 20 widgets instead of 10.
Name any new MMO that wouldn't benefit. There you go. Is that better? Qualify that statement a bit.
Oh, dang it.
I think Secret World would do better from Megaservers if they did that, wouldn't it? Aren't they already like just a couple servers?
I think they're like 8 servers, but it's cross-server.
Okay.
So you can party with anybody in any server. It's cross-server.
There you go.
I think the Old Republic probably wouldn't. It might benefit, but it wouldn't benefit tons.
Yeah, there's no tagging, and quests when you're in a group work fairly well.
Yeah, like I said, you'd see a slight benefit. Like there's some games that are going to benefit way more than others, and
what about
like Guild Wars
Scrolls?
2 was built for Megaservers.
Elder Scrolls has Megaservers already.
Oh.
Yeah, it only has one North American and one European server.
And I'm not saying at all that it's a bad thing for Wildstar, because I don't think that at all. I just don't think it's going to be the same. Like, it's not going to have the exact same effect in Wildstar that it had in Guild Wars 2.
I think because there is so much group content, though, I think it will have a better effect. And they already had some cross-server, but when you're doing your progression stuff and you want to build up some static groups, being able to be on the same server is huge. Being able to do guild alliances, to do raids when you're doing 40-mans, that's huge. So I think it will have more of an effect than I think you think it will.
Yeah,
So.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, that gets back to the whole World of Warcraft thing. The World of Warcraft found a way to do cross-server raiding in dungeons and that kind of thing without creating a whole mega server concept.
But the questing in Wildstar benefits from more people. Questing with people is fun, as we will find out with Extra Life, which I don't know. Should we talk about that now? Should we mention that now?
I think we just did.
Yeah, we're going to do Wildstar for Extra Life. We're going to play Chuas all of us are going to play Chua. And we're going to get our damn hamster balls, and we're going to roll
Can't we
around.
play something taller this year?
No, Chua. You know why? Because we get hamster balls.
The hamster ball's worth it.
It's exactly.
I totally agree.
Exactly.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So we have to level enough to be able to get the hamster ball. So, anyways, I think this would be a really cool thing. I think that's one of the changes that needs to be come into the game, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be cool. All right, we do have a quick message from one of our sponsors here, GoDaddy. GoDaddy is a fantastic sponsor of the show. They have actually been the provider of all of our web hosting since before they were a sponsor. GoDaddy is releasing hundreds of new domains that tell people who you are and what you do, including .guru, .club, .photography, .expert. There are options for just about everything, and your chance of getting the name that you want are now better than ever because of those extra domains. Register the domain that helps people find you online before someone beats you to it. Visit GoDaddy.com and enter the promo code MMO30, and you're going to save 30% off your order. So you go in, you get your hosting, you get your domain, all that sort of stuff. You can use the coupon code MMO30 and get 30% off your order. Now, like I said, GoDaddy has been our sponsor since before. Sorry, not our sponsor. Has been our hosting provider since before this sponsorship even started, even the last one. So really enjoy their service. They've been really great to us. So please go check them out, GoDaddy.com, and use the coupon code MMO30. All right, we're going to move things along, talking about another Tryon product. We're going to talk about Rift, which we were talking about earlier, but the new expansion, Nightmare Tide, launches on October 8th. They just announced that at PAX, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. There's a new landmass, but it's not just a new landmass. It is a new dimension. We are finally going to the plains. Yay! We're going to the Dimension of Water, and the Dimension of Water is not just literally all about water. It's actually all about nightmares. It's created by and I forget the name.
Ursula.
The name of the entity. It's all formed by this person's this entity's nightmares. So it's really, really cool, and it's being taken over by other planes or attacking it. And what I think one of the visually most striking things was you could be swimming along, and all of a sudden you would go out the water, and there's no more water, and you drop, and of course as ascended you don't take falling damage, but the water could have vertical walls as well. So it was really, really cool to see that. So you'd be underwater, then above water, and all that sort of stuff. The 4 souls that were meant for this expansion were actually completed a while ago, a few months ago, and they've already been released. They've got the Warrior, the Liberator, which is a healer, which I've been playing with. It's a cool, I've got a little bit of Liberator in my DPS spec so I can level better, which is really cool. They've got a mage tank, the Arbiter, an arcane tank who torments enemies with storms and brushes off their attacks with shields of ice. A full-on healer, finally. You won't just have to fake heal with your bard. You can use a real healer on your rogue with Physician. And a new support soul for the cleric, because the cleric could already do tank healing and DPS. So they've got a new support soul called the Oracle. So I'm really excited about it. We're going to be looking at it, Selene and I. So pretty cool. October 8th.
I'm sort of keen to play a rogue healer because I keep coming back to the notion, pardon me, not the node, but the notion of healing people by shooting them with a bow. Like someone's going to do it, and it's going to be hilarious.
Yep.
It's like, I'm dying, help me. Thwap.
Boink, 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 boink. There you go.
Healing bullets.
Arrows of love. Call me Cupid.
Arrows of love. That's what the ability should be called. And there should be little Cupid hearts that come out of the healed tar. Oh yeah, that's the way it should be.
It's pretty cool to play full-on heal spec on my warrior, and we're doing. And I'll let Selenia go DPS, and I'll play my heal spec, and it's pretty cool. I like that.
That and an arcane tank. I have to. That's a
Now, I'm a little
pretty
disappointed.
interesting concept.
In the early testing of this, they were looking at having it be like a pet tank class and having it kind of work like that, and they moved away from that. So it is the actual mage themselves that is doing the tanking now in melee. So that's a little bit different, but kind of like, I guess, Harbinger.
Yeah.
But tanky.
I don't hate that.
No, I don't hate it either, because obviously they're pretty good at iterating at Tryon, so they'll try something and iterate until they get something that works, and it's fun.
I mean, I've seen and I've tried pet tanks before in various different games, and it just never seems to work right. Like if you're doing like face roll type content and everything like that, I remember sometimes you could get a warlock tank in World of Warcraft where you get the blueberry to tank a dungeon for you and everything like that, and it would go relatively smoothly. But as soon as you have to do something a little bit complicated, like don't step in the poop kind of stuff, you can't do that with a pet tank. It's not possible unless. Actually, I'm wondering.
I like the way that Wildstar does it, because the tank really is just the tank pet is just kind of different abilities that you can use. It can go in and stun or interrupt and stuff like that. It is not the thing up in the front.
It's almost like a built-in off tank, though. Like the engineer can be be a tank. And be the focus of the attacks and everything. But you've got your little buddy there to kind of help take a little bit of the pressure off you and help with some tanky abilities and everything like that. Maybe off tank one thing or something. But it's not that the pet is not meant to be the tank. It's meant to help the tank.
Yeah. All right, so go check it out. We'll have links to that in the show notes. Layanor, as someone who voted for Final Fantasy XIV as our game of the year for last year, I think this is the perfect story for you. I
could swear you desperately wanted to say punishment there.
I wouldn't say that out loud. So give us a sort of quick overview of this producer's letter that came out, Layanor.
Well, those no Megaservers, I can tell you that.
Okay, we're done. Okay, next.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. You must be a big fan of Final Fantasy XIV. I mean, you did vote it MMO Reporter's 2013 Game of the Year. So I want to know what you think about these things.
I am a fan of seeing the game rise from the ashes and take on the world.
Mm-hmm. You keep
going, please. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, I'll get into the notes here. There was a producer's letter, question and answers letter, and I just kind of skimmed over it and just got the bigger notes out of it instead of a lot of the smaller ones. And the first one is players were concerned that with patches 2.2 and 2.3 that new systems were coming into the game that were kind of grindy. They mentioned things as the Zodiac weapon system, which is kind of a like a Lotro or other games, build your own weapon system where you spend a lot of points in it and you build it up and you build it up. Players are starting to feel that the systems are kind of just grindy and there isn't any kind of like raiding content or anything coming out. Their answer is that they have been pushing back a lot of content, trying to get out all of the raid content and all of the other end game content. And these two were just kind of scheduled to come out at the same time. So it just kind of feels like a drought with everybody just grinding things. But they do plan on doing more things in the future. Players have also been asking for more casual gameplay, mainly because Final Fantasy is pretty dang popular. There's movies, there's some cartoons and animes, there's lots of games where people just play casually and not even beat the games. They just want to be in the Final Fantasy world. And apparently that they are coming out with some of this stuff. There is if anybody's played Final Fantasy VII, there used to be a place called the Gold Saucer, which was basically like a arcade. You can go in there and you can play basketball, and you can bet on things and stuff like that. And they're coming out with that, so all the casual players can go and hang out over there. They're also bringing out Chocobo Racing, which is a huge, huge thing in Final Fantasy VII. And to my surprise, they are bringing out Triple Triad, which was in Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy IX, and Final Fantasy Online 11. And what it is it's a 3x3 square pattern where you put down cards, and the cards will flip over each other like Othello. You know what I'm saying? Like if you got two white Othello pieces, the center one will flip to white. All of these cards all have monsters on them, and they all have specific numbers on them. So it's kind of like Magic the Gathering, where you put the card down. If your number's bigger than the card next to it, it'll flip. So it's a little more complicated than Othello, but really addictive. So they're bringing that into the game as well. And you're going to be able to get cards and stuff from all kinds of monsters. So it's really, really cool. I'm very interested, actually, to see that in the game. So the other main things were they're adding in a new race. They are finishing up the animations and the skins right now. Chris, a little bit further down, there's a picture that has been presented by another. I can't remember where the picture's from, but it's a picture of what people think the race is going to be. It's all covered up and everything, but you can kind of see the gist of the body. The current rating hub that is out right now is, I don't know if they're closing it. It's probably going to stay open, but they're coming out with a new raid cluster coming out so people can get new endgame content. They are adding in rogue and ninja classes. And they have been talking about blue mages a little bit, but they're probably not going to be putting them in the game. Blue mages are mainly a solo class where you get skills and stuff directly off of monsters and you keep them. Kind of like what you were talking about, Chris, with Rogue from Marvel Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
So basically that's what that class is. And in a group MMO game,
that would be a little tough.
It's kind of weird to have a just complete solo class in your group. So they might not be adding that class in, but if they can figure things out, they might. And they have been playtesting a Mac version of the game, and there's no release date on that yet. They're still doing a lot of tests, but that's they've been working on a Mac version.
Cool. Well, that's interesting. Nice to see that game on Mac. All right, Bill, you've got just a couple little things here, just a couple mentions at the end.
Just a quick update to let people know, because we were so impressed with the Kargath YouTube video for World of Warcraft Lords of Wars as kind of the precursor lore stuff for Warlords of Draenor. They've released 2 more of those now. One is dedicated solely to Grom Hellscream, and the other one is actually Durotan, the Frostwolf clan, who I believe is... oh, dang it. I have to double check my family trees there. Anyway, he's a person of note. And yeah, anyway, they're really good. It's that same kind of painted or comic inked art style, and very cool. It's a neat little. Well, it's not even really a lore refresher too. It's actually it's still a little bit of the retconning they're doing with Draenor lore that obviously the time traveling bronze dragons are messing with a little bit, but they're very cool. I like what they're doing with the lore here, giving it a bit of a tweak like that, and coming taking the silly vacation they went on to Pandaland and actually coming back with some of the hardcore nasty lore that they spent many years building.
Yeah. So, did you have a favorite of either of these, or?
Oh, I mean, they're all good. It's really the Durotan one is very cool because it feels a little less kind of orc tropey Like it's like Durtan is kind of painted as a little bit of the opposite of your typical orc, like someone who's actually trying to kind of contain the orcish rage inside him and everything like that. Whereas all the other ones are just screamy and bitey and yelly and everything like that.
I don't know. I like the Gromash one. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it was for sure. They I just love the ogre that they painted up for that one with the little baby umbrella. That was just brilliant. So
yeah, that was really cool. All right, that is it for our show for this week. Couple things we want to mention. First of all, our sponsor codes. Go to doghousesystems.com and use the coupon code MMOReporter to double your RAM. And Audible, go to audibletrial.com/MMOReporter. You can get 1 month free for your for Audible of Audible service, which means you get one audiobook that you can keep forever. And of course, don't forget to check out patreon.com/MMOReporter. We are so close to getting to our $100 first goal, where we will release a new song worked on by Harry Hall. We are only $28 away, so go check that out, patreon.com/MMOReporter. You want to get a new Harry Hall song? Go check that out. Our goal is $100. So, Bill, if people want to contact us, how could they do so?
Well, they can head over and visit MMOReporter.com as the central hub for all the MMO Reporter stuff, as well as all of our brother and sister podcasts out there. You can send us an email to mmo.reporter@gmail.com. You can visit us on Facebook at facebook.com/MMOReporter. You can tweet at any of the MMO Reporter reporters, either at MMO_reporter for Chris, at Harry Hall for Harry Hall, at Layanor for Layanor, and at MMO Bill for yours truly. You can give us a call at 616-666-6778 or click the widget on the right side of MMOReporter.com. Leave us a voicemail. Tell us what you think about anything. Tell us about your favorite Lords of War prequel video, or if you think they're all awesome or stupid. Finally, head on over to youtube.com to check out all the videos that are coming up from PAX 2014 that Chris and Layanor have just been working their tails off on. Visit youtube.com/user/MMO Reporter Network and bask in all those panel-y awesomeness things.
Which was very awesome. Thanks again, Layanor, for all that, by the way.
Sure thing. That was a lot of fun.
All right, thanks, Bill and Layanor, for another fantastic show. That was a lot of fun. I like recording.
It was thrilling.
I think I have rabies.
It was kind of neat to get back to just a regular format, I have to admit.
Yeah, no pre-packs, no at-packs, no post-packs.
I miss packs.
And hey, I still was post-packs pox-less. So I'm very happy.
Yeah.
You didn't fare so well.
Yeah, that must have been great.
It was. It was fantastic. All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening to the show. Thanks for everyone who hung out in the chat room, even though you didn't say a word. I know you were there. I know. Thanks to everyone who listens to the show, who downloads the podcast week after week. We really appreciate it. We hope that you download it again next week, but most importantly, we hope to see you in game.
Don't forget about your old you need to cherish.
Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at MMOReporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOReporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.